Hi, I'm Dr. Bill, and tonight we're going to be talking about muscle testing. Lots of different ways to do it. It's called applied kinesiology, muscle testing. It's been a part of chiropractic for decades. I've personally been around for a few decades, and it was there before I got there in the 1970s. So it's one way of doing a diagnostic test and checking things, and you'll see in the videos that we've got compiled here, we use it on babies, and we therefore have to use a surrogate. In other words, use his mom or dad, and we use mom or dad to do some muscle testing and checking. An older child, still a toddler age, and we're going to demonstrate that as well, doing muscle testing, same kind of concept, a little bit different what we're checking for, but the same idea. And then obviously you can do it on an adult where you do the muscle testing on the individual themselves. I really like using the arm because you, by checking on the arm distally on the end there, this is proximal, that's distal, then you can actually, without using much force, it's not trying to find out who's the strongest or anything like that. It's just doing a muscle test on the end of the arm actually is a really easy thing to do, and it's easy for the person being tested and for the tester. So both ways. So muscle testing, that's the way I like to do it. Sometimes you use other things like you'll see in the one video. I did it on a woman, a mom, and I also used her leg. She was lying face down. So just use her leg as a neutral muscle to test. So basically the principle is this. Our bodies are absolutely phenomenal. They're amazing. They're incredible. There is so much intelligence in every cell of our body that the whole key is to try to tap into that. How do you know what is going on inside a person's body? One reason why we do muscle testing on babies is obviously they can't talk, they can't communicate other than screaming or not screaming or whatever, but they can't really communicate what's going on. Well, muscle testing takes care of that because we actually get to get into that person's innate intelligence, the intelligence that runs the body, and tap into that. So that's true on a baby, that's true on a toddler, that's true also on an adult, teenager, anywhere in between. So it's a way to get in touch with that innate intelligence. Now some people may think that it's weird, that it's funky, how could it possibly be accurate? I can just tell you that in my 40 years of experience, which is quite a few, I find it to be extremely reliable, and I've done all kinds of different things with it. In the office, it's mostly about, does somebody need that part of their spine adjusted? Is there a subluxation in the neck, on the right side, on the left, in the upper back, in the lower back, in the pelvis, in the knee, in the ankle? It's much more concentrated on that. We do check other things. We check this area in here, the stomach area, which is the hiatal hernia area. We check that on babies that often have reflux. We check the area here that actually is the low descending colon of the large intestine. We check that for babies that are gassy or have constipation issues. We can check the bladder. We help babies and kids, not babies, we help older kids and even adults that have bladder issues. We can check lung points, all kinds of different things. And again, the questions are very simple. We ask, is this an area of concern? Yes or no? If it's a yes, it stays strong. If it's a no, then it goes weak. And we ask questions in that regard. So some of it is what the practitioner is thinking and actually openly asking out loud. I have some people that come in here that actually do muscle testing, asking about vitamin supplements they should or shouldn't take. We ask about foods that they should or shouldn't partake of. We have done a lot of formula testing for moms and babies because, number one, I didn't know that one of the number one ingredients in a lot of formulas that are not organic is high fructose syrup, or in essence, some version of sugar. So that is, we do testing on that kind of thing as well. The whole idea behind it is, again, to get out of my head and out of the other person's head and just simply ask a question, is there a problem here? And you do a muscle test, just like the videos that you'll see or have already seen. and we ask the question. It's very simple. We get a yes, no answer. Boom, we check it. Sometimes I will do an adjustment on someone, and I'll still say, well, I thought that was a good adjustment. I'm not totally sure. I'll muscle test it. Sometimes I need to do something else with it, or adjust it again, or work on the muscles, and that gives further feedback as well. I find that it's an awesome way to help myself know what to do, help the individual patient know what to do, and go forward. I'm going to demonstrate, a couple of people that come into the office have taught me self-testing, and I'm not as good at this as I am testing other people. One way is actually to do the finger thing and see if you ask a question and you can hold it, that means it's a positive, and if you can't hold the other finger and go through, then that's a negative. That's a little tough for me to be totally objective with that, but I've tried using that. The one that I found works a little better, this is a woman that comes in here and instructed me that you actually hold your hands in front of you and you ask a question, and if it's a positive question, you lean forward a little bit, and if it's a negative answer, you'll go backwards. That one seems to be a little bit more, and I'm facing north right now, so in that, the people facing north seems to get a better response to a positive versus a negative. And you kind of need to not overthink this. If you overthink this, oh my gosh, how much did I lean forward, did I lean back? Just kind of relax into it and say, okay, I'm going to ask the question, should I drink more water? Well, the answer to that is yeah, I should definitely drink more water. And that was easy. So I'll ask another question, should I drink a Coke? I'm kind of neutral right now, and then I do go backwards. And you can say that it's subjective. You have to just believe in the process. You either say yes or no. So that's self-testing. And there's a few different ways to do that. Like I said, one is doing this, one is doing that forward and back thing. I'm happy to demonstrate this with anybody that comes here. Most anybody who is a patient in this office has had some version of this kind of muscle testing. We use it probably most heavily on babies, and then some on toddlers, a little bit less on older children because it's easier to tell what's going on, and then some on adults when we're asking questions about how to adjust, what exactly that person needs for adjustment, etc. So those are the principles. Again, it's called applied kinesiology, muscle testing. I think it's an awesome way to get in touch with what's going on inside the body, and I would highly recommend it in this office or other places. That it's just a great tool that's easy. It's basically, it's free to do on yourself, and it's very easy to do using, like I said, an arm. The final thing I'll tell you, and I don't really have a way to test to show you this. I'm going to take a drink. This is water. I've gone into many schools and I've done tests, and I'd be happy to do this if schools ever start up again, or in your own family, or in some group to come show this at. It's a very active, positive participant kind of thing. It all started way back in probably in the 80s and 90s, in the 90s, I guess, for me, where I would go into schools. I have 6 children, and they ranged in age from, at one point we have one child in each of 6 different schools. So I'd go into their classrooms or other ones where I knew the teacher or the principal and so forth, and I would muscle test actually foods. And it kind of evolved. In the beginning I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to take in a candy bar, and I'll take in soda, and I'll take in water. And it eventually evolved to an apple versus a candy bar, a soda versus water, and I think then we had candy and then something else good, some kind of fruit. So what I would do is I'd ask the class who the strongest person in the class is, and they'd pick somebody. Sometimes it was a little scrawny person, sometimes it was a big person. And they'd come up to the front, and I'd say, okay, we're going to give you an option. Would you rather have a bite of the apple or the candy bar? Well, not too many schools that I went to did the kids say, I want the apple. They usually went for the candy bar. So the interesting side note is you can either do this actually having them take a bite of it or just holding it. Now I'm pushing some of your buttons a little bit, saying, okay, yeah, this is weird enough. Now you're saying, don't even have to eat it. Well, the body's pretty dang smart. I told a woman today, in fact, I would have you do this as well. If you think about your favorite food, whatever that is, This particular woman said it was raspberries. I got a lot of favorite foods. I probably would think of a nice Italian meal, maybe some pasta, some bruschetta, some of the things like that. If I think about that very long, I start to salivate. That's how smart your body is, because it's saying, oh my gosh, yeah, we really like that. Okay, back to the food thing. So, I have the strongest kid in the class come up, and I say to them, okay, we're going to do a neutral muscle test. We test the arms, see how strong they are. Usually they're pretty strong. The class usually knows who's a strong kid. And then I'll say, okay, we're going to have you either take a bite of the apple or candy bar, or drink of water or soda, and then we're going to retest you. And I always pause, and I always ask the class, okay, what do you think is going to happen? So with the candy bar, they generally say, well, of course, like, this is a branding thing. You can guess which is the commercial that's been on for like 30 years that says when you need something in a break, or you're not quite acting yourself, what's that candy bar? It's got chocolate, it's got caramel, it's got nuts in it. Anyway, you can figure out what that one is. And I usually bring that one. I'll say, okay, I'm going to give you a bite of this candy bar. What's going to happen to your energy? And they always say, oh, it's going to get stronger. Are you kidding me? It's going to give me energy. Well, 100% of the time, and I've done this dozens, probably hundreds of times, it has always gotten weaker. Well, why is it? Because the body knows that dang candy bar is not good for me. I don't want that candy bar. I don't want it in my system. It's going to give me a spike of sugar, but it's not going to help my energy at all. So anyway, they take a bite. Arm always goes weak, kind of freaks them out. And they say, oh, that was weird, you cheating. I said, okay, come back, we'll do another test. Anyway, and I've never ever seen that not work. So as an evolution in this process, one time I was doing it in my 8th grade, my daughter was in the 8th grade, and I did it with her teacher, and there was a little thing between my daughter and this one teacher, health teacher, and she said, yeah, well, that's just because they're eating food. It's not because it's bad for them, it's just they're eating food. So in my brain, I'm saying, okay, come on, lady, I'm trying to get your kids to eat less candy bars. I would think that's a good thing. And maybe, well, I don't know, maybe she was a candy bar person. Anyway, so I said, okay, by some miracle, on the teacher's desk, there was an apple. I say miracle just because she was a very nice lady. Anyway, so there's an apple there. I said, okay, well, I've never done this test before, but why don't you come up? We'll do the same test with you and the apple. So sure enough, she comes up. We do the muscle test without the apple. She holds her arm strong. I give her the apple. She takes a bite, and what do you think happened? She got as strong or stronger. The body wanted that apple. It said, yes, give me some more of that, please. That's the kind of energy that I want and I need. So then we do it with sodas. Pick any soda you want. Doesn't matter what your favorite soda is. Pretty much guaranteed with anything. Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Orange, Sprite, Ginger Ale, Dr. Pepper, you name it. You know what the primary ingredient in that is, whether it's diet or not, is a sweetener. And boom, every single time that alarm goes weak. And every time we test water, particularly if it's good water, this is filtered water, guess what? The body likes it. The body says, oh my gosh, yes, give me some more of that, please. So you can do the same thing with all kinds of different things. We won't go into too much more detail, but that's how smart the body is. And it knows it, and it will tell you, if you will ask for your body's intelligence, a lot of times actually in your brain, you know, should I have a piece of chocolate cake? Well, I don't really think you should. And you know that. So you can muscle test it, you can just say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have that. Now I know some kids are allergic. That's a really big deal. I read an article recently about a kid that had an allergic reaction to peanuts and actually died. So that's not to fool around with. The number one allergies of food obviously are milk, are wheat, gluten being part of that. Can also be some kinds of chocolate, some kinds of sweets, etc. So you need to figure out what those are. I have a granddaughter who when I was 10, but she was about 5 or 6, she knew she was lactose intolerant. Her mom told her she was lactose intolerant, but she still would say, you know, I still want that ice cream or that milk or whatever it is. But her body would tell her it wasn't good. And she ended up finally saying, you know what? As much as that might taste good for a moment, my body doesn't want it. So that's a part of this whole process of doing muscle testing. So, in summary, muscle testing on babies we do here in the office, on toddlers with a surrogate, people by themselves that are older than toddlers, teenagers to adults, and that tells us what to do or not to do, how to help them, how not to help them. And then we can also do that with yourself. You can do your own self-testing. And then finally the food thing. But it's really easy. I'm happy to show anybody how to do it. It's again, not overthinking. It's just kind of, okay, let's let this process happen. And I promise you positive results. And it's another way to know what your body wants and needs. So that's Dr. Bill. Good luck listening to this. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And hope this is of assistance to you in your pursuit of health and wellness. Thanks for listening.